Welcome back to Reliable Sources. I'm Brian Stelter. There was a lot of talk this week here on CNN and elsewhere about how the national media should approach the one-year anniversary of the murders at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Maybe they should take their cues from local media in Connecticut. Brian Koonz, the Metro editor for Hearst Connecticut newspapers, joins me now from New York. Brian, thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Brian.
Tell me about what your plan and what your newspaper's plans are for covering the anniversary, considering the fact that the families in some cases read your newspapers.
No, that's absolutely true, and we're keenly aware of that. I think our plan is we wanted to do something that was really insightful, thoughtful, intelligent. You know, to be honest, I really don't know how much you gain by going to Sandy Hook on Saturday and collecting quotes and going to the local diner or Starbucks or those sort of places. I mean, to us, this is a very personal story. I live in Newtown. Many of our employees, from reporters to editors to the folks who distribute the newspaper, they live in this community. And what we wanted to do was to really find a special way to acknowledge the victims, to acknowledge the families who lost loved ones that day, and really, acknowledge a community that's very much in the stages of grieving. I don't think the grieving process in Newtown is anywhere, near over. I look at it, some of the obvious stories, how Newtown has shaped the gun debate, how Newtown has shaped the mental health debate, the police response debate. I mean, they're obvious stories, but they're also obvious because they are obvious. I mean, what we're trying to do is really be a little bit more provocative rather than, predictable. So what we've tried to do all this week, starting with today, we've reached out to members of the community, and with today's newspaper, you might be able to see from Sunday, we have, as I look through the monitor here, thank you very much with that, George Hochsprung, who is the husband of Dawn Hochsprung, the principal of Sandy Hook Elementary School, who was killed that day. And what we have on the front page of our paper and our other papers in our group with Hearst Connecticut newspapers are excerpts from diaries that they shared, from sailing diaries. And if I could, I'd like to take the liberty of just reading one excerpt from Dawn Hochsprung's diary. I love you. I want to be with you in all ways for the rest of my life. Trust me to love you the way that you deserve to be loved. I am good for you, and I can help you as you help me. We can be each other's strength and support. We can laugh together and cry together. You are the piece of my life that has always been missing, and you fulfill me completely. I love you forever. Now, a story like this, you don't just get arbitrarily. You don't get from, dive-bombing journalism. I think this was a story that came to us through Eileen Fitzgerald, a wonderful reporter who had established a relationship with George Hochsprung, really a relationship of trust. And that's how we plan on really marking this anniversary throughout the week. We're going to have essays on the front page of our newspaper in Danbury, as well as we're going to be picking those up in our other papers in Bridgeport and Greenwich and Stamford, Connecticut. We're going to have a Connecticut resident who is an expert on mass shootings, whose wife is a minister in Danbury, which isn't too far from Newtown. We're actually going to have an accomplished banjo player to kind of talk about, who lives in Sandy Hook, to talk about how music can be a healing force. We're going to have a novelist who lives in Sandy Hook also describing their reaction and how they've changed, how the community has changed a year later. So I think that, approaching it this way, trying to find some kind of, meaningful insight outside the confines of just, doing this packed journalism mentality, I think for us certainly is the way to go. I mean, we don't, take any kind of pleasure in people's misfortunes and this tremendous heartache that people have experienced in Sandy Hook. However, what we do take pride in is the job that we've done. And I think that we've been very careful to report with clarity, with accuracy, with honesty, and perhaps most of all, compassion.
In the 30 seconds we have left, tell me, do you think the national media should be in your backyards this Saturday, or should they stay away? What I do think, I don't think they should necessarily be in the backyard. We've had our first selectman, Pat Lodra, in Newtown, who's similar to the function of a mayor, has said that, she would appreciate that. There are no public memorial services. Again, I understand that this is a national story. I think folks might be better served about what has been the impact of this Sandy Hook shooting in your local community, and perhaps using
Newtown as a focal point. But to get back to my
great point.
earlier point, I don't know what's really to be gained by collecting quotes through Newtown on that day, on the anniversary, the 1 year anniversary.
I predict that most reporters will stay away that day, and we'll find out for sure on Saturday. Brian, thank you for being here. We'll keep you and your neighbors in our thoughts and our prayers this week.
I appreciate that.
Coming up, there's no doubt